We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. We're glad to have you here. I know there's a lot of supporters of the library here. You've got a speaker, Mr. Rick Harvin, who's a friend of the commissioners, been here many times. If you'd like to come up, Rick.
All right, thank you, Gary.
And go ahead. We're going to have some comments from Rick on the funding for the library this year as we go into the budget season. And then we've got a special treat. We've got a couple of students here that are going to do their speeches from Soil and Water, and Rob Baldwin will introduce them after Rick finishes up. So Rick, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir.
And you have the commissioner's attention.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to thank the commissioners for the opportunity to speak. My name is Rick Harvin. I am chairman of the Wilkes County Library Advisory Board. Tonight I want to talk about funding for the library, in particular funding for very much needed raises for the staff of the library. The total ask this year for the Wilkes County Library, that's county money for the main library and the Trap Hill branch during fiscal year 18-19, is $664,639. That's an increase of less than 10% from the previous fiscal year. Of that total, the total amount requested for staff salaries is $457,500. That's an increase of 3.8% from the previous year. Those figures are for 22 employees. I call that a deal and a bargain. Walk into the library anytime and ask for help. Whether your request concerns books, DVDs, computer time, reference materials, information about a program for you or your family, or many other items, you'll be grateful, and you'll be very grateful when the library employee is ready to assist you. I'm always thankful for that help, and I'm consistently proud of what our library people do every day. That kind of work deserves more pay. An entry-level position at the library pays $8.01 per hour. That's kind of hard to live on, gentlemen. Think about what it cost you the last time you bought gas, groceries, paid your insurance for your car, your home, etc. It's also a reason County Librarian Julia Turpin told me that in the last few years, at least 2 job applicants who were qualified turned down a job at the library, and 2 existing employees left for higher paying library jobs elsewhere. You can't keep or hire good people with not so good salaries. There's better compensation, we all know, right down the road. You don't have to go far from Wilkes County. Money's tight. I know y'all have a lot of decisions to make. I know you've got a lot of items going on in that budget. You won't find any better bang for your buck than going over here to the library and asking for help. They deserve a raise. They work hard. They deserve it. A fellow a lot smarter than I'll ever be once said, the only thing you need to know is the location of the library. Albert Einstein's statement makes sense. Let's make more sense of it by rewarding the people who make the library what it is. Please consider it when you're working on your budget for the coming fiscal year. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah. And thank everybody that supports the library and your attendance. We recognize the issue, understand it. We will be having, and of course we're not going to comment during this period, but I do want to say that Jane Blackburn will be here to do a PowerPoint presentation for us, I believe April 3rd. And I'm sure she will hit on a lot of those points about salaries and stuff. So we'll have a chance to hear more about it and get a better picture of what's going on over there then. Okay?
Good deal.
All right. Rob.
Yes, sir.
Rob Baldwin, our soil and water man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I very much appreciate
Floor is
you
yours.
allowing us to be here.
Yeah.
As you all know, one of our charges at the district, the Soil and Water District, is education. And one of the things we do every year in the education is have some contests. And we also have those at the McGee Center, which incidentally on April 10th, we'll have 350 some kids there doing the Envirothon, and you folks are, gentlemen, are welcome to attend. Anybody in here can come out and see that happen. It's where they learn about the environment and have a test, and it's a contest, and it's statewide. And this is 13 districts across our area that will come to the McGee Center, and we're very proud of the McGee Center, as you well should be as well. Tonight, we have the winners of our speech contest. I thought it was a good idea. We're ramping up the education facet of the district, and I saw Mr. Chairman at our contest, and I said, Mr. Chairman, how do you think about having the winners come? And before I got it out, he said, let's do it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we have the winners tonight, and they'll give their winning speeches. Alexis Gunn is an 8th grade winner. She is from East Wilkes Middle School. And then Robert Myers will give his. He's a 7th grade winner, and he's also from East Wilkes Middle School. So I'll get out of the way and let them have the floor.
And let's see, who's going to go first?
Alexis.
Okay, Alexis
then
Gunn,
Rob.
8th grade, East Wilkes Middle School.
Thank you.
Alexis, make yourself at home. This is your boardroom, just like it's ours. Welcome. We look forward to hearing your speech.
Don't we just stand here?
You can stand or sit, whichever one you're more comfortable doing. We don't have a podium.
That's okay.
I know you stood when you did it at the McGee Center.
Water, the cycle of life. It is important to conserve our water and soil. They are not infinite resources. According to the Water Information Program in Southwest Colorado, the human body is more than 60% water, blood is 92% water, the brain and muscle is 75% water, and bones are about 22% water. A human can survive a month or more without eating food, but only a week or so without drinking water. I can't help thinking about conservation without thinking about soil conservation too. There are many ways to help conserve water and soil. By being aware of conservation practices, we can all do our part to protect our resources. I'd like to present to you a handful of soil and water conservation methods that you can put into practice and encourage others to do so as well. Let me talk about soil for just a minute. Soil is an essential component of a terrestrial ecosystem. A healthy ecosystem provides a steady flow of produce, food, environmental goods, and services that we as a society rely upon. Human exploitation and the poor management of soil results in considerable depletion of the value and productivity of our national land's worth. Recent estimates show that if this mismanagement of soil continues, our planet will not be able to feed the ever-growing global population by 2050. Encouragement requires that 36.5% of the Earth's land mass be dedicated to agricultural land or farming. Traditional agricultural practices are based on the plowing and tilling the land to sow seeds. These practices have proven to be very destructive. They contribute to the depletion of nutrients in the soil and rate of loss to erosion. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, "The nation that destroys its soil destroys itself." There are many ways to help with soil conservation. We can choose to purchase from and support farmers who practice conservation techniques. One of the methods that farmers can use is contour plowing. Contour plowing involves plowing grooves into hills and slopes to stop runoff and prevent topsoil loss. Another method farmers can implement is the use of windbreaks. Windbreaks consist of rows of tall trees in dense patterns surrounding farmland to reduce wind erosion. Evergreen trees can give year-round protection, but other types of trees can help reduce wind erosion as long as they maintain foliage during periods when the soil is exposed. No-till farming is another conservation technique. It involves growing crops year-round without plowing or tilling. It spreads soil exposure, which can result in the loss of nutrients and water. Without clean water and nutrient-rich soil, the food that we need in order to live would be at worst toxic and at best lacking in nutritional value. Our vegetables can only provide us with essential vitamins and nutrients if the soil that they are grown is clean and fertile. Fresh drinking water that filters through the soil and aquifers. Aquifers have a layer of porous rock and sand or silt that filters the impurities and leaves the pure water. Removing impurities creates drinkable groundwater sources. If the soil is contaminated, the drinking water will be as well. Water conservation is equally vital to our planet. 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered with water, yet 97% of it is salt water not fit for consumption. Less than 1% of all water on Earth is fresh water available for human consumption. Farming uses up 75% of the available water from rivers, lakes, groundwater, and glaciers. A corporate partnership in Italy called Aquatech uses a three-step approach to help improve irrigation practices. They begin by educating farmers on the usage of techniques and newly developed equipment designed to track and monitor water needed. Since they introduced the system in 2013, water usage has been reduced by 17%, harvests have been improved by 27%, energy efficiency has been increased by 20%, and nitrogen loss in groundwater has been reduced by 78%. Farmers are not the only ones who can help with conservation. There are practices we can implement at home. Taking showers instead of baths can help conserve water. Taking a bath can use up to 70 gallons of water. Turning off the faucet while brushing your teeth can save 4 gallons of drinking water per year. Recycling clothing helps water conservation by lessening the need for new cotton growth. It takes about 100 gallons of water to make a single pound of cotton. Purchasing recycled paper products can help conserve large amounts of water used to convert pulp into making new paper products. It takes about 6 gallons of water to produce a single dollar's worth of paper. Water and soil conservation is vital to the future of our planet. Luckily, we can all help by supporting education and use of conservation techniques. A few simple changes in our daily lives can make a lasting impact on future generations. Water is important to the cycle of life within our bodies and our environment. Let me close with a quote from Franz Lanting, a nature photographer. Water is the key to life, but if frozen form is a latent force, and when it vanishes, Earth becomes Mars. Thank you.
That was very good, Alexis. A lot of great information. Now, are you going to be going on to and giving your speech at a statewide? No, this is it. You're just the district. Okay. No. It's the first. Sounds like a state winner to me. Robert, we'd like to hear your speech.
Okay. Water, the Cycle of Life by Robert Myers. We forget that the water cycle and the life cycle are one. Jacques Cousteau. Water is a very important resource. Life could not exist and definitely would not exist without water. Life, such as plants, animals, microorganisms, and fungi, depend on water as their only source of hydration. A person can live a full 3 weeks without food, but would not last longer than a week without water. Water is central to the well-being of people and the planet, said Ban Ki-moon, UN Secretary General. So, how could something so simple be so crucial? Water, at its most basic, is a molecule composed of 1 oxygen and 2 hydrogen atoms, bonded together by shared electrons. Water is a polar molecule, meaning that it is positively charged near hydrogen atoms and negatively charged near the oxygen. The water molecule is naturally attracted to other water molecules. They stick together due to their polarity and form a hydrogen bond. The hydrogen bond is why water is denser in its liquid form than in its solid form. This is why ice floats in water. Water is extremely important. It makes up most of your tissue, organs, and cells. Water is also essential to chemical reactions in your body. Water helps to absorb the nutrients from the food you consume, as well as properly digesting this food. To regulate body temperature, you must have water in your body. Aquatic life lives, thrives, and breathes in water. Water makes up glaciers, rivers, bays, lakes, and oceans. The water cycle, a cycle run by the sun, is one of the most important cycles on Earth. The world is 71% water, and 96.5% of that is salt water in oceans. A mere 3% of water in the world is drinkable. 2% of that drinkable water is in glaciers, therefore leaving only 1% for human needs. All the water that will be is right now, said National Geographic. Water is constantly needing to be conserved. There are tons of disadvantages to not conserving water. If water isn't conserved, it could be overused and there could be freshwater shortages. Costs for water could skyrocket. Much of the food supply depends on water to grow, such as vegetables, fruits, and herbs. Water filtration systems are made for adjusted use. More water will constantly need to be filtered, and the filtration systems will be overwhelmed. As the world grows older, the human population grows. Eventually, the world will run out of potable water. Wars from countries could arise from this predicament. On a farm, water is as important as it is to life. Water is used to grow the crops, water the animals, and operate some equipment, such as plate coolers and cleaning equipment. If there are pollutants present in a water source and the farmer loses access to water, they suffer huge production losses. If the farmer has no water, they cannot grow crops, so they do not have sustenance for their animals, which are their source of production. The community also will have no food or clothing material. As you can see, water is essential for running a farm. But there are tons of different ways to conserve water in your home, community, and the world, so that none of these things ever happen. In your home, you can turn off the faucet when brushing your teeth or scrubbing your hands. If you have any leaks in your water pipes, fix them. You can reuse the liquid you use to cook pasta, and frequently adjust your sprinklers so that you don't waste water. To help conserve water in your community, you can join a community pool instead of making your own. You can help create a water management plan in your community. Doing all these things will influence the whole world. As you can see, water is essential to life. If everyone pitches in, we can conserve water. If everyone doesn't try to conserve water, clean water will not be here forever. If we all do our part, everyone can live happily and fulfilling. After all, water is the cycle of life. As Benjamin Franklin said, when the well is dry, we know the worth of water. Thank you.
Vice Chairman.
It's a tie.
It's a tie. Oh, you know, we hear so many things on the news and in the media about youth and the problems that we have, but over and over again, I meet with students and I interact with our youth, and it's very positive, and I feel good about the kids that are going to take over for us in the future. There's a lot of really good ones in Wilkes County, and I know you parents are proud of your kids for their abilities, and those were great speeches and well done, and they certainly deserve to be recognized. And I'd like to give them just one more quick hand. Now, I was going to ask, do you add? Is this part of the video that's shown on the internet? You can go to the county website and on the site map, and you can find the videos of the meetings if you want to watch your speech. And I think we've had cameras in such a position that you'll be able to.
River Street too, somewhere.
Yeah, and River Street back, yes. I try to promote our website first. But thank you for being here. We are going to begin. I'm going to call a recess for just a couple of minutes, but we're going to start the regular meeting. You're welcome to stay. We're going to have a relatively short meeting tonight with a short agenda, just some bookkeeping. Of course, Rob's got to stay because he's got some appointments, and we're going to have an audit contract. So we've got just a few things coming up in the meeting. Like I said, you're welcome to stay. We'll probably be here another 15, 20 minutes. That was a lot of fun. Always enjoy stuff like that. We'll start the meeting tonight, the Wilkes County Commissioners meeting for March 20th, 2018. We'll begin with an invocation, Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner David Gamble will lead us in the invocation, and then we'll follow with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody would please stand.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, just thank you for another day you give to us. Thank you for all your guidance and your blessings in life we take for granted. Lord, just thank you for water, everything you do for us, and just ask you to continue to lead us and guide us in the direction to be pleasing. And all these blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item D, a little different. I remember you told me, but we've got the Wilkes Voluntary Ag District. We've got a couple of items here.
Mr. Chairman?
Well, they're not ready because we had our meeting so
Oh,
close to them.
minutes.
They're not, it was so compressed up. Yeah, yeah, they were,
You'll have two with the name.
you know, we didn't have our last meeting at the regular time. It was
Okay.
compressed, so there was a short period of time. So we'll approve the minutes at the next meeting. Good, you always catch everything, Elmore, doesn't he?
Habit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So anyway, the first one, we've got board reappointments, which is an action item, and then we'll have the annual report. You guys both want to come up at the same time but we'll start with the board reappointments. Rob, welcome back.
Thank you again, Mr.
Yeah, and
Chairman.
that was, thank you for bringing them and
Oh,
sharing that with us.
absolutely. I appreciate you
Great
welcoming
kids,
me.
great kids.
Yeah,
It's
that
just-
was a
it's
great
just nice.
experience for them.
Yeah, and it's nice to have younger kids at our meetings too, because at some point, they're gonna be
Right.
sitting over here
Exactly.
doing this.
Yeah,
And
and we find that the speech makers typically are the leaders.
yeah, I completely agree. So you got some board appointments?
Yes, sir. As you all know, the Voluntary Ag District makes nominations to you, the county commissioners, and then you approve or disapprove those. Today, the Voluntary Ag District Board would like to nominate Mr. Claude Shue, Mr. Jimmy Church, and Mr. Benny Alexander. These are reappointments, and you have those in your packet there. There's the no change forms are in there as well.
Yep. Good. Yeah, we got a short form if there've been no changes since the last time you were appointed to a board. Basically, we like to kind of have a policy that we like for people that serve on boards in the county to have at least paid their taxes. You know, so.
Is that a five-member board?
A four?
It's,
Five?
Yes, sir.
Five.
Your last meeting, you one was missing, I guess.
Yeah.
Toby Speaks is on that board?
Yep. He's vice chair.
He's the vice chair. His signature's on there.
He's a good man.
I agree, sir.
Yep.
So you had those in attendance, Gary Blake, and those guys just attended, I guess. Just looking at you. Barry Greer.
Okay, so I'm teaching his son to ref. Barry's son. He's doing a good job so far. Done a good job. So the three that we have are Mr. Claude Shue. No, you three are already on there.
Just Claude Shue.
Oh, okay, well. It says Mr. Claude Shue right here, Claude.
You wrote that up wrong.
That's Sir Claude Shue,
Mr. Jimmy Church,
Esquire.
Mr. Benny Alexander, Esquire. You are a Mr. Claude in this county.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you sure are.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve all three.
Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion carries. Reappointed.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to thank you.
Now,
Mr. Claude Shue.
yes.
Just a quick update.
Yeah,
And,
you got to, yeah. Our second item under D is an annual report of acres enrolled, and that's by Claude, who is chairman.
As through March the 9th of 2018, we had 59 groups listed, 138 parcels, 6,115.96 acres. And just a breakdown of how the acres are used. We have 2,653.46 acres in conventional ag, which is cropland, cattle, and all that good stuff. Forestry, 3,168 acres, and horticulture, 6.5 acres.
That's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it is when you're not one of them.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's a lot of land.
Ag is a big, but y'all know it's big in our county. so.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't help but notice, every one of y'all have a bottle of water sitting there. Eddie, when we was in school, we never thought we'd had bought a bottle of water sitting in front of us. Cause we drunk from a water hose and creek and cup.
Yeah.
We never thought we'd pay for water.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy one day.
But it is a very valuable thing to us, and fortunately, our county has a lot of good water in it, and
We're definitely blessed, aren't we?
yes, we are.
Yeah, we are.
We're definitely blessed in our
A lot of
county.
water. I'm gonna have a little discussion about that after a while.
I was in Mexico, year before last, we drove 400 miles, and I crossed one creek. 400 miles. And it wasn't but about that wide.
That's a fact. We've got plenty of it here.
Well, I know how we do soil and water our waters and stuff in the pastures. I've been out west 2 or 3 times, and the cattle farmers out there tell me if a cow can't walk a mile, they don't want them on their farm. If they can't walk a mile to get a drink of water, they don't want them.
Good gracious.
Oh, heck. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're very fortunate
We really are.
and appreciate.
And I'll say, I think the programs you've had have improved water quality in the county by restoring streams, the banks of streams, and, you know,
It's been a-
good forestry management. I think it's improved.
It has.
The water table and the water supply and the clarity of the water in the streams.
Our county's done a wonderful job at it.
I agree.
Well, they have, and I would probably go out as far as to say possibly one of the top counties in the state as far as being pretty aggressive in
Yes, sir.
grants for farmers
Absolutely.
and poultry business plus cattle farmers. I know I've applied for a couple of those grants and been fortunate enough
We
to
just were
participate.
recently approved for a portion of $865,000 for the Roaring River watershed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
We'll be
we've
implementing
had
that.
presentations on that here at the board meetings. Yeah.
Well, just like those two that made the speech said,
Yeah.
it's precious commodity. There's
Mhm.
nothing.
There's got many more of them being made.
Yeah, your body, I forget the percentage of it was made up of water, but
Yep.
it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have life if you don't have it.
And as y'all know, we strongly support the agriculture business in this county.
We appreciate y'all,
Yeah,
everything you've done
strongly.
for agriculture
Yeah.
and what you
Yeah.
intend to do.
And we appreciate what it does for this county.
I would have one question. In the last, y'all probably see these numbers, in the last 5 years, how's your numbers? Are they down or up on these totals? Do you know that just right off as far as?
Go ahead, Rob.
The voluntary ag district has stayed fairly constant. Of
Mhm.
course, we're always welcoming people to submit applications to come into the voluntary ag district.
Yeah.
And we actually appreciate Farm Bureau because they donate the signs that you'll see up in everybody's. That way, somebody driving through knows they are actually in a voluntary ag district. Now, as far as farming in Wilkes County, it's gone up just a little bit or stayed constant, so. But as far as the voluntary ag district, it's been sort of stable, and that's a area that we want to ramp up a little bit as well with education in Wilkes County.
I saw one up at a vineyard
Mm-hmm.
down there, Swan Creek area.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
It's very hard to get people to enroll in it unless they have a problem. When they have a problem, then they most definitely want to enroll, but
Yeah.
it is voluntary and it's,
Well, you know, Claude, the Wilkes Countyans are not very trusting of government. They never have been. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Always has been.
appreciate y'all's time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank you,
thank you,
fellas.
Jim.
Thank you. And we have a board meeting on Monday. All y'all are welcome to come. It's wide open.
Yeah.
We usually have lunch.
Yeah.
And Rob usually cooks.
Yeah.
Ran 'em all.
Oh.
Thank y'all.
All right, item E, Finance Department. We got a contract to audit accounts for the fiscal year 2017, 2018. And Chris Huffman's here, the Assistant Finance Director.
He's moving up.
He is, he's clearly a rising star in
Under
the
Jerry's
county
tutelage.
government, yeah. You got a good teacher.
You got a seasoned veteran there.
Yeah.
He's working with.
Good night, y'all. Oh,
Completely agree with what you're saying. I have a wealth of knowledge to learn from,
Yeah.
from Mr. Shepherd.
now this is, we're gonna have to take action on this, so why don't you bring us up to speed on it?
Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, here before you tonight to present you a contract to audit our financial records. The contract that's in your packet is from Martin Starnes and Associates, CPAs. It's for the financial year ending June 30th, 2018. This is a standard contract. for all government entities for audit services in North Carolina. The contract amount for this is $65,000. This is a 5% increase from last year's audit. The increase is due to the expanded testing for programs within the state. If this contract is approved, it will be forwarded to the local government commission for their approval. And I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
I'll have one, Mr. Chairman. Did we hold the line did they hold the line last year on the contract price?
No, we had a little bit of
It
a
was
slight
increased
increase.
last year.
Yes.
But this is more driven by a change in the regulations, isn't it?
What I handed out before the meeting, or before I presented,
Yeah.
it's from the State and Local Government Finance Division, that's
Yeah.
from the Department of State and Treasurer. At the last finance conference, they went over audits, and they did a segment on it, and they basically said for county audits to expect an increase due to the Office of State Auditors requesting more audits be done. So they said your auditor is going to pass that cost on to you because they're going to have to test more programs. Jerry and I were technically surprised by the slight increase.
Oh, yeah.
What we've got, some neighboring counties, they got a significantly more increase than Wilkes County did.
Well, they know if they're not careful, we'll say no.
I understand
We-
completely.
We have before.
And
Yeah, their memories are good.
Yeah.
and we've been having Martin Starnes do our audits for 10 years.
Yeah.
So.
And and to their credit, when we've had tough years and our budget's been real tight, they've said, hey, we just can't go up this year. And they've acknowledged that and come back with a better price. But this seems justified if you two think it's,
Technically,
you guys got anything?
No, I think you're satisfied here with these folks, and the only thing I would ask, do you ever put it out for bid? When's the last time you put it out for bid?
We did 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
You know, you get accustomed to,
Sure.
they get accustomed to our ways, and we get accustomed to their ways. and it just
Absolutely.
makes our jobs easier.
Yeah.
If you work with somebody, you know what they want.
Right.
But now, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
it's not
And plus
something
the
that
relationship
we-
with the state. That's the relationship they have with the state.
Yes, yes.
That's
they are.
all important.
I wonder how many county audits they do.
They do, I think, the last I heard, they do 60-some, but I think that includes towns also.
Okay.
Towns and counties.
Yeah.
That's a good question, though. I mean, you need to keep honest.
Personally,
Yeah.
I like to look around, let's compare.
Let's consider that next year, at least talk about it with
Right.
talk about with the manager,
Okay.
see if that
Might get a
is
better
an
deal.
option. Yep.
Yeah, and I will say, I know it's been several years that they have not went up.
Yeah.
They've, like you said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because we have been on top of that, so.
To talk about increases, Yadkin County also uses the same firm, Martin and Starnes, and their increase this year was 40%.
40%.
So that we're quite happy with our
Yeah,
5%.
5%.
Mr. Chairman,
Wow. Yeah, go ahead.
the expansion of the programs that they're auditing, what would that encompass to justify a 40% hike unless they just didn't want to do the
I
audit?
think their finance department's asking themselves that question too. Yeah. It's been a hot topic the last 2 weeks
Okay.
in the
Is that the
financial,
largest increase or?
in our area, yes.
Wow. What, do you know what they paid? What they've been paid?
I do
You know what
not.
Yadkin County?
There's a site in the state treasurer's office or a website that you can check, see what the audits are, but I don't know exactly what Yadkin pays.
Their county government is significantly smaller than ours, and their budget is as well. I don't know that it's half as big as ours, but, so if you had a budget half as big,
Yeah, and it went up.
and then it went up, even if it went up the same amount as one that was twice as much, the increase, if it was the same increase, would still be double what our increase is. So instead of 5, it would be 10% just because of the size of the budget. So the numbers could be a little misleading when you start talking about percentages too, so. But we'll not worry about Yadkin County. They got their own cross to bear. So we need action on this,
I'd like to
gentlemen.
make a motion.
Okay.
Continue our contract with Mark. Who's contract? Martin Starnes.
Good, there's a motion
Second.
and a second. John, you good with this? Okay.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. We'll approve that contract for you.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, Lord. Okay. I just had to say that, Eddie. And I gotta drive to Greensboro tonight for a conference tomorrow, so they're gonna try to keep us here for the rest of
I've
the
only
night.
got 3.
Okay, Tony, do you or John have any old business?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'm gonna recognize Vice Chairman Eddie Settle with some old business.
Let's hope I don't get gaveled. I'll keep it short as possible. I want to talk about the water a little. We just had 2 kids in here, and one of them quoted Ben Franklin, "Did you know the worth of water when the well's dry?" And that's a fact. If you have lightning hit or whatever and that well's dry, just get it back on. And I've got some concerns here locally. I've wrote down some pages of notes, but y'all, each of us is confronted about this water issue time to time. I'd say some of us more than others, possibly. Mr. Chairman, you're here in town, and Greg is, and I think you guys probably hear it more than the rest of us, but I'm hearing it, I hear it too. And I'll tell you some of the things I hear and the reasons. But we got 2 towns, North Wilkesboro, and they were divided by, I guess, a great divide, that Yadkin River. I don't know all the history of these towns, but I was told that North Wilkesboro was here, then the railroad was built, couldn't get across, so they stayed over there and had a town, and y'all know the history. So we've got 2 towns, and that's just the fact of it. That river is a life source to Wilkesboro and this county. There's just no doubt about it. Reddy's River is a life source to North Wilkesboro. And both of these towns are super passionate about their towns, and rightfully so. The folks that are elected there, they serve with passion, and I believe everything in me that they want the best for their town. I believe both sides do, both the mayors, all the commissioners. I'm convinced. I think we all can agree on it, that they want what's best for their towns. So I got a question. How can we, as a commissioner body, how can we facilitate this water issue that we've been beating our head on this thing for a good while? I was chairman 2 years in a row, and I wore that bridge out. I believe I wore a set of tires out going back and forth. Mr. Minton was chairman, same thing. Mr. Chairman, I know you're working on it, and I've got some confidence that maybe things will happen. But some of these issues I've got, we got a 30-year, $33 million loan, interest-free. That's the first one. Shirley Randleman got us 30 years when they had never gone 30 years ever. Diener has never done that before. 20 years was max. The second issue I got is I believe the town of North Wilkesboro is in desperate need for water. And the reason I say that is during one of the last droughts, the Reddy's River got pretty low. And the state recognized it, or there wouldn't be an interest-free loan offered if it wasn't for that town. Wilkesboro needs it. They need a steady flow for their citizens. For Tyson up the street here, and everybody here knows, Tyson's the heartbeat of this county. They're the largest employer, and that don't even count the numerous farms. They've got chicken houses, people working in those chicken houses, numerous people. Wilkesboro's working on this AccuFlow system that is used in Europe. I don't know enough about it to even make a comment, but they feel somewhat comfortable, I think, with it after meeting with the mayor yesterday. The intake cost is the issue. We all know that. We've got a contract here, and we've offered to do our part. Am I right about that? You signed it in 2012, and I think we all will still do our part. We'll build the thing, they'll buy the water, but it's the cost. And speaking of cost, it's not just an intake. I look at water rates. Water cost for an average home of 5,000 gallons in town in North Wilkesboro is $28.98. And I talked to somebody today, and that's still a good deal. Out of town, it's $42.56. If you live out of this area, that's still people tell me that move in that's still good. That's a good deal in water rates, even in North Wilkesboro. Wilkesboro is $10.69, 5,000 gallons if you live in town, and it's the cheapest in the state. Outside town, it's $21.38. Still, and you know what kind of deal that is. I just want to get a conversation started. That's what I'm trying to get done here. I'm afraid if we don't, we're going to lose this thing. We've got, like I said, contract to build the intake now. We've got it signed. Everything is done. It's in place. The county will do our part. We'll sell water to the towns. But, and I don't blame either town. I mean, North Wilkesboro doesn't want to raise their rates, and I don't blame them. If I was a commissioner over there, I don't think I would either. But we don't want to raise taxes either. It's just a hard place in the road. They're going to need that water though. But I got a little good news. Wilkesboro has assured me they can provide finished water to the town of North Wilkesboro cheaper than they can finish it. That's what they tell me. That's what the mayor said. We can do it. And my final plea is let's not let this loan go back. Mr. Chairman, I think you can work maybe with the two towns and get this this mayor's meeting started again, and we can keep this on the forefront. I'm not saying we have to build the intake, but if North Wilkesboro would agree and somehow they could work together on this water, maybe if they could buy it from Wilkesboro, I just don't understand how that would be a problem. If they can use some of that money and build a line over there, and they can furnish them finished water cheaper than they can finish it, it just sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Maybe it just is going to take some conversation and a little working together. And you guys may have better ideas than I've got. I don't know, but I'd like to put this thing to rest somehow, some way, without spending tax money on it. And to me, that sounds like the best deal. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong.
Best thing to do is combine the towns. Then you wouldn't have to worry about all this back and forth.
Well, can we
You
do
got
that? I'll
one
second
down.
your motion.
Tony, I don't think we can do that. Yeah,
Well, we got a first and a second, so.
not and get out of here alive.
Yeah, I know.
Have a noose outside, maybe?
Well, to merge the two governments into one would be a problem, but we could have one town as far as water goes.
That's right.
We could have one entity that involves the towns and the county as a water authority, and we could all have a say in the water in the county.
I'm afraid the water associations might,
Not agree.
yeah.
Well, they'd have to be represented too. They'd have to have representation too.
What would it take to get North Wilkesboro to agree to purchase water from Wilkesboro? How can we facilitate? How can we make that happen?
Well,
will Wilkesboro agree to give us a hand in
I
that?
think where our frustration has come is that we, as a county board, representing not only the people in the county, but the people in the two towns who also pay county taxes. So we are the body that represents everybody that resides in Wilkes County and pays taxes. No one else represents all of those people that, at the county level. I mean, of course, Shirley and Jeff and them do, but not with regard to this. So, I think it gives us a responsibility to try to get everybody moving in the same direction and doing what's best for the entire county population. That translates for us into, hey, we want to build a water intake in the reservoir because it's something that's going to be a benefit to the county for decades into the future. Everybody in the county, and we don't know who's going to end up on county getting water from that. If their wells go dry, if they have other problems, we have a severe drought, and it's got the potential to serve so many people and provide us with enough water to have another industry that comes in that's maybe ag-related. So we would like to see an intake built as a county entity, but we can't build the intake without the towns buying water from us. And the money's there. We don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. We certainly have to know what the final figure is going to be. But I think it's frustrating to be in a position as a county where you want to represent everybody and build an intake, but we really can't do it without the support of the two municipalities.
Oh, you're right.
And a guarantee that they will purchase their water from us. And whether it's through a single plant that's located somewhere, it seems to me the closer it is to the intake, the more efficient it would be, and then move clean water over. But we can't do it. We can't proceed unless we have a commitment from both towns, I think, to purchase all of their water and to abandon this aquaflow and these other systems.
What I find very frustrating is in 2011, we had a signed contract with the three entities, county, both towns, to do exactly what we're talking about doing. Is that not correct?
I think it was actually
And
2012.
for the life of me, I don't understand signing a contract and not following through. We've got a contract with the three entities, and they're refusing to do what they've signed on to do. And that is very frustrating to me. I've never understood that.
I think,
But
Mr. Morris, the cost is driven up so much that they can't do it now. But if they run a single line to Wilkesboro and bought finished water, and they guarantee they can sell it cheaper than they can finish it, I just don't understand it.
Well, if we'd acted 4 years ago, the cost would have been about half what it is now. That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
I think we had an offer for $24 million on the table. Man came in here and sat right here and told us that. Am I memory? Does anybody else remember that?
I've been told repeatedly that was not a genuine
That was
price
just
for
price.
that it would have not been
He
done.
did say it, though.
Yeah,
It was at the Ag Center, because I was there. He did say
So,
it.
Yeah, I mean, have you not heard that same thing, that it was not really?
He said, I guarantee it, but he didn't give us a marker and put his thumb in blood, but he.
Eddie's point, though, the only possible reason for not doing this is the runaway cost.
Well,
I don't see
you know,
another
the
reason
cost-
for not doing it.
The cost alone, on the 0%, you're gonna save the cost.
15 million was the price.
$15 million, so that's gonna adjust the cost, cause they would not have had that 0% interest.
It'd be a lifetime
I
of
mean,
water
this-
for the whole county.
it's my understanding, we're talking about cost, the average bill in North Wilkesboro would go up about $7 on average. Is that correct?
29%.
$7. That could be introduced in 3 years. I think it takes 3 years to build this thing out.
Actually,
And that's what Wilkesboro had done in raising the rates. I mean, Wilkesboro did that. They raised their rates to cover this in anticipating doing this.
well,
That's my thing.
they did, and,
We beat this horse to
but if
death.
they're gonna do it,
It's the same old thing.
this loan's gonna be gone. So how long we got, John?
Well, we just got to keep meeting these deadlines are, it goes away. Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a
There
time
is
limit
gonna
on
be
it because
a
they
rec.
need to use that money elsewhere. That
Oh, they're gonna pull-
organization that will pull the trigger and actually build something.
Right.
I mean, they want access to this money that's tied up with us for how many years? Since 2012? How long has this offer been on the table?
Offer for,
30 million, 33 million, 0%.
oh gosh, well, since about 2012, I
Yeah.
guess. We entered into the contract. Been on the table for several years.
Well, now, the 30 years has just been the last 3 years, maybe. Senator Roundman got that done
Probably 3 years.
maybe 3 years ago.
I want to swear it was 2012. It's been on the table several
The
years.
county, I think, if I understand everybody sitting here, we're willing to build an intake
I'll build it
and
tomorrow.
sell water to both towns.
I'll build it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the county's ready to do that.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a part of the point.
And
to
that was,
get out there,
that
at
was the
least
whole
to get them
contract.
talking.
That's what was stated in the contract.
Well, we hear.
Well, we have to, let's go back to, let's remember, we have to build it. The Corps will not allow
Sure.
anyone else to build and own it. That's why we're in this. Because originally it was just the two towns that were gonna do it, but the Corps would not allow any other entity except county government to own the water intake until it reaches the edge of the Corps property, period. So we had to be involved, yet we're not the decision makers. We own the intake, but we are sitting in the back seat, and the two towns are in the front seat driving the vehicle we're in, and we're just sitting back here. And we can't do anything. We're virtually powerless. But we do have to, like we're talking about today, things you have to do. We have to own the intake. So we have to be a party to this. But if the two towns are not willing to buy the water, we can't build an intake the pipe stops at the edge of the Corps property and we're gonna put a hose bib on the end of it.
I guess how can we get them to pull
Raw
over
water
a
for
minute?
sale.
How can we get them to pull over a minute and let us drive?
I don't know.
That's the question.
Well, I
Yeah.
can certainly suggest a solution to the North Wilkesboro not wanting to raise rates on their citizens. They can take the $15 million they got from the rent of the hospital.
Right.
Reduce the property tax a couple pennies, and then that will offset any increase in the water rates. Very simple solution.
I think we
All I
ran,
got.
I think we ran that up the flagpole before. Nobody's.
Well, I'll pass that on. I'll just,
I'm pretty sure Joe got it.
yeah.
We're pretty
And
quiet there for a second.
we're not trying to create a controversy
Chair.
between us and the towns, but there's been a great deal of editorializing and reporting on this subject. And why is it not doing this? We feel like a willing party, but we aren't the ones that are actually the decision makers with regard to the finances and the purchasing of the actual raw water that we have to own the intake for,
Yeah, and-
period. There's
and-
no other way to build it.
And also the maintenance and upkeep
Yeah, and we'd be,
for the
yeah,
operations of it. I mean, that's gonna be a county asset, but I dare say this, common sense would dictate that something doesn't get cheaper the longer you wait to build it.
yeah.
I was told yesterday that they would sell it, water to North Wilkesboro, cheaper than they could finish it. And it would be even cheaper because they're gonna be buying more water. And more gallons of water.
We were in DC and they told us point blank that they are pushing for $25 billion in infrastructure money for rural communities to build water, infrastructure, and roads and bridges. And, you know, maybe there's a potential to tap into some of that as this project moves forward. But we,
$100 million about
yeah.
before it gets much further.
But,
I think we've had this conversation before.
Numerous times.
Have we talked about
But
this?
hopefully, yeah. But it's
Eddie,
Not with our new
good.
chairman.
yeah, well, that's right. Eddie, is there anything else you want to add?
That's it.
Any-
I've-
Is
it's
there
out
any
of my
other,
system.
is there any other old business that anybody wants to have?
Litter.
Well, if you're done.
Thank you for not giving me.
No, sir,
Very
that was,
kind.
I appreciate what you said, and it's a concern to all of us.
I'd still like to see us cover loads. If anybody wants to, go back to that. Cover loads is limited.
Okay.
I see bags, I see all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff flying out, and it's not, burger bags, it's, trash flying, but trash bags falling off trucks. So-
Well, we got,
Yeah, since we have that regulation on the books, I'd like to see us enforce it.
no, it's fine.
Covered loads.
Yeah.
You ask.
Well,
Okay.
we talked about having a hearing about it, or a public hearing?
Suits me.
Yeah.
Suits me.
You could have one on that and one on the water.
We got a little off track on that a couple of meetings back.
Yeah.
We'll have to get that, I agree, we need to get that one back on the front burner. That's great, let's do it.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
yeah, super.
I'm good.
We'll get that back on the agenda. Any other old business? Anybody wanna
Sure you
talk
wanna-
about any? I know, we're here till we're done. Anybody got any new business? John?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Tony?
No, sir. And no closed
Okay.
session.
No, there's no closed session. Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Get out now.
First and
Any
second.
discussion, all in favor?
Get that.
Yeah, yeah.